Hello everyone, I'm here today to make a mini slimline card using the Simon Says Stamp Timber Sunflower Garden stamp set. It has really big oversized sunflowers as well as some birthday sentiments. So yeah, and my dimensions for my mini slimline are 6.5 by 3.5. So I also cut a layering piece in yellow at 3.25 by 6.25, and then my stamping sheet is 3 by 6. I'm going to pull out my Tim Holtz stamping platform and line up the large stamp on the stamping piece of paper. And we're going to stamp that down. Beautiful, looks wonderful. And I grabbed my watercolors because I did stamp that with the VersaFine Clair, which is water resistant. So I'm taking my Jane Davenport Bright palette and I'm using just 3 colors, yellow, red, and green, to create this entire painting. And this is not watercolor paper, this is regular heavy cardstock, so I'm being careful not to oversaturate the paper. So I just start by using the yellow, then I add some red to get a bright orange. This is just a base coat, like my wash, layer that's going down. And I add the red to get the orange. And then I'm going to take a little green and add it to that orangey red and get a more brown color. And I can adjust the shades of these colors back and forth by adding more yellow to the mix, more red to the mix. Yeah, and I just keep going until I get the result that I'm looking for. So the greens, I have a light green and a dark green, but to adjust that and get a different shade for the leaves and the stems, I can add a little bit of red, which is opposite on the color wheel of the green. So if it's equal parts, it will turn brown, which is how I got the center of the sunflowers. But I'm just going to add a tad of red to that green, which is going to give me an olivey green, which I will use on the stems later. Now I just mix that heavy with the red and green and got a nice dark brown. And I didn't add as much water, so it was more concentrate to give me the shadow and highlights for the centers of the sunflower. Here's where I took that green and I added some red to give me that dark green, to also give the leaves and stems some dimension. Yeah, I like doing this kind of watercolor and just picking several colors and practicing mixing. And then here I grab the Happy Birthday in the bold stamp to create the sentiment. I'm going to take my, I guess before I decide to put it on, I'm thinking it needs a little distressing shadowing around the edges. So I'm going to take my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink, and I am inking around the edges to give it a little aged look, which I love that look. I'm going to take my little mini Nicole trimmer, which is from 1902, and I'm going to slice my sentiment down and take my cutter bee scissors and cut that on an angle just to add a little interest, and I will add some inking around the edges of that as well. I use the side of those scissors because they are quite sharp, and I can just run it across the edges of the panel, and it gives me a kind of torn, tattered look to the edge of the stamped panel. And then I take more Vintage Photo ink and kind of go in heavy and it kind of accentuates that tattered edge. Now I can take my adhesive runner and attach that to the yellow panel, which is 3 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I turn that over so I don't smudge any of the things on the front. I was deciding whether to pop up my sentiment. I decide to lay that flat and position it over the bottom foliage of the card. And then I'm going to take my mini slimline panel. I'm going to score that at the 3 1/2 on the 7-inch side and position my panel on, flip it over once again so I don't smear anything, and just give the back a rub. We're going to cut a panel that is 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 for the inside of the card, and I will ink the edges of that as well. And then I'm gonna line that up and adhere it to the inside of the card after cleaning the ink off my desk. And then I'm going to pick a smaller sentiment that was in the set that says, "I hope your birthday is as bright as a sunflower." And I'm going to stamp that inside. And there you have it. It's a quick, fast and easy, quick mini slimline birthday card. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment.